The audit begins without warning, not in a courtroom, not in a bank, but in the silent record of your own life. Every decision, every action, every word ever spoken. Now imagine a world where your entire existence is examined the way governments investigate corporate financial crimes, not emotionally, not philosophically, but clinically, forensically, line by line, transaction by transaction, motive by motive. Nothing is forgotten. Nothing is forgiven by default. Everything is documented. This is not a metaphor anymore. This is a full audit of a human life. The year is ordinary. The world appears unchanged. Cities move, people work, history continues. But behind the scenes, a new global system is activated. A system modeled after financial crime investigation frameworks used to track fraud, corruption, and money laundering. Except now, the subject is not corporations. It is individuals. You. At the exact moment the system goes live, a lifelong ledger begins compiling retroactively. Digital footprints, social records, purchase histories, communications, education, employment, relationships, public behavior, private patterns inferred through data. Your life is no longer a narrative. It becomes a case file. The concept is grounded in reality. Financial crime audits today already rely on deep forensic accounting, behavioral analytics, and risk modeling. Governments and institutions analyze years of transactions to detect anomalies, intent, and concealed patterns. Now apply that same methodology to human existence itself. Every choice becomes a data point. Every habit becomes a measurable pattern. Every deviation becomes a flag. Within minutes, the system constructs a life balance sheet. Assets are not money. They are contributions. Acts of responsibility, social impact, ethical consistency. Liabilities are not debts, they are harms caused. Broken commitments, neglected responsibilities, long-term consequences of decisions. Hours pass. Algorithms begin classification, not based on emotion, but on evidence density. Patterns of honesty, patterns of avoidance, patterns of intention versus outcome. The audit does not judge feelings. It measures actions against consequences. This is where the first escalation begins. Governments recognize the implications immediately. A population whose lives can be fully audited becomes a population that can be behaviorally predicted. Policy shifts. Legal frameworks evolve. Ethical scoring systems are debated. Some argue this could reduce crime, corruption, and societal instability. Others see something far more dangerous: the loss of human ambiguity. Days later, the environmental and technological systems adapt. Social platforms restructure. Employment sectors integrate lifetime behavioral audits into hiring processes. Insurance industries recalibrate risk models, not only based on health, but on life's decision consistency. Even education systems begin tracking developmental accountability metrics from childhood onward. Humanity enters a new era of measurable existence, but the deeper consequences unfold slowly. In the first year, psychological shifts become evident. People begin acting not for morality, but for audit resilience. Decisions become calculated. Conversations become cautious. Spontaneity declines. Authenticity becomes statistically risky. A subtle transformation occurs. People no longer live freely, they live audit-optimally. Historically, human societies have always relied on incomplete information. Legal systems require evidence. Historians reconstruct events from fragments. Even personal memory is flawed. Its imperfection allows forgiveness, reinterpretation, growth. But a complete life audit removes informational gaps. There is no forgotten mistake, no erased action, no context lost to time. Minutes after activation, individuals receive private summaries of their lifetime analysis. A life compressed into metrics and narrative assessment. Hours later, institutions begin cross-referencing audit data with public records. Inconsistencies surface. Contradictions emerge. Days later, global discourse fractures. Some celebrate radical transparency. Others fear existential exposure. Philosophers question whether a person is still human if their life is reduced to quantifiable accounting. Years pass. Children born into this system grow up differently. They understand from an early age that every action contributes to a permanent ledger. Educational environments shift. Long-term consequence awareness replaces short-term reward thinking. Risk-taking declines because failure is no longer temporary. It becomes permanently recorded. Technological systems evolve further. The audit no longer just analyzes the past, it begins forecasting behavioral risk. Predictive life modeling emerges. Governments use it for policy planning. Corporations use it for recruitment and leadership selection. Social trust becomes algorithmically mediated, not emotionally formed. Environmentally, indirect changes appear. Consumption patterns become more accountable. Wasteful behavior declines under permanent visibility. Sustainable decisions increase, not always from virtue, yet, but from long-term reputational calculation. Civilization appears more efficient, more stable, more controlled, but something deeper begins to erode. Human relationships transform. Friendships become data-aware. Partnerships become risk-evaluated. People gravitate toward those with cleaner life ledgers. Social hierarchies shift. From wealth-based status to accountability-based reputation. Historically, surveillance has always shaped human behavior. From ancient record-keeping empires to modern digital monitoring systems, but never before has surveillance been total, retrospective, and permanently analytical across an entire lifetime. This is no longer observation. This is existential accounting. Decades into the system, a dark realization emerges. The audit cannot perfectly measure intent. It measures outcomes, patterns, statistical impact. A person who caused harm unintentionally may carry heavier liabilities than someone who strategically minimized visible consequences. Moral complexity becomes flattened into data logic. Humanity confronts an uncomfortable truth. A fully audited life may be accurate in data, but incomplete in meaning. Psychological studies begin revealing new patterns. Anxiety rates rise despite lower crime rates. Creativity becomes more cautious. Spontaneity becomes rare. A counter-movement slowly forms. The unrecorded moments movement. People begin seeking experiences that cannot be logged. Offline conversations, silent acts of kindness, at private reflections. Because when everything is recorded, the rarest luxury becomes unmeasured existence. Generations pass. Civilization structurally adapts. Legal systems shift toward lifetime behavioral trajectory analysis. Economic systems reward long-term ethical consistency. Political systems prioritize audit-stable individuals over charismatic figures. On the surface, humanity becomes more accountable, less chaotic, more predictable, but predictability carries a hidden cost. Innovation slows in certain domains. Bold experimentation declines. Fear of permanent negative entries discourages higher-risk breakthroughs. The system succeeds in reducing hidden misconduct, yet it also reduces hidden courage. Centuries later, historians would describe this era differently, not as the age of surveillance, but as the age of total self-awareness enforced by data permanence. A civilization where every life can be reconstructed with forensic precision, yet a final dilemma remains unresolved. If a human life is audited like a corporate crime report, what truly defines a person? Their worst liabilities, or the evolving balance of their existence? Because unlike corporations, humans change. They regret, they learn, they grow. But a permanent audit never forgets who you once were. In the end, the system reveals more than it judges. It exposes the tension between accountability and humanity, between precision and compassion, between recorded truth and lived experience. A perfectly audited life may be transparent. It may be efficient. It may even appear just. But would it still be free? And if every decision you ever make is permanently analyzed, scored, and remembered, would you still choose to live the same life you are living today?